Hello, Year 11. Welcome to your first period of history for today. I hope that wherever you're watching this from, you are well, as can be expected. It's a bit of a surprise for all of us, but we have scrambled together and put together lessons for you to be able to do easily. For this history lesson, I would like you to open a Microsoft Word document. I'd like you to put your name at the top and also today's date. And the first title for the first lesson is Revision and Exam Practice. So please, could you pause the video here and set up your Microsoft Word document like this. Okay, so there are going to be a few exam questions this morning, or this afternoon, whenever you're listening to this. To start off with, I'm going to give you 10 quiz questions. I would like you to write down the numbers of the question. If you want, you can copy and paste all of these into a document and put your answers underneath or next to the questions. And I would like you to do this in 5 minutes maximum. Okay, give yourself 5 minutes maximum from now. Pause the video and answer these quiz questions. I will look at your quiz question answers along with your exam answers. I will see how well you did, and I'll hopefully be able to give you all feedback tomorrow. I hope that you can all submit your work to me via email. If not, please could you let myself or Mr. Potter or anyone know that you're having problems with your internet. Please let us know as soon as you can. So we're going to start by looking at recapping the empire and doing some empire-based questions on what we've done over the past few weeks. As you remember, we looked at the Golden Jubilee, the 50-year celebration of Queen Victoria's reign. The Jubilee was in 1887. And as you can see from the photograph on the left, it was a massive event. And it was a chance for people to celebrate Queen Victoria and the Empire. And it was a chance for businesses to make a bit of money by selling Jubilee souvenirs like this plate at the top and images, posters, reliefs like this at the bottom. As you remember, Queen Victoria served as queen from 1837 to 1901. And under her reign, the empire reached its zenith, its maximum size. It was beneficial to Britain in many ways because it was a source of trade and wealth that was secure. The Queen understood its value, but also stressed that its aim was to protect the poor natives and to advance civilizations. So the Queen saw the economic benefits, but also saw a moral, spiritual benefit to having an empire that reigned over lots of different peoples all over the world and brought them into one culture, British imperial culture. It was a time when people were very loyal to their queen, and this was built up by the success of the empire and by the propaganda that the empire created. So patriotic pride was encouraged. The government realized that if people's enthusiasm for empire remained high, then it would have their full support when taking over more land abroad. And as you remember last lesson, you wrote down your sentences here, and hopefully this will give you a bit of a memory jog since you don't have your books right now. You also completed this table about imperial propaganda, but I have included it for you in lieu of your notes, so you can do your exam questions easily. There are several types of propaganda that we looked at: books and newspapers, music halls, household products, schools and societies. Please can you pause the video here and just remind yourself of the imperial propaganda we looked at and how it celebrated the empire. Pause the video now. We also started to look at source A. I want you to pause the video here and just remind yourself of these questions and have a look at this source. Pause the video here. Okay, so we have a typical advert for a British product which uses ideas of race superiority, white superiority, to sell a brand of soap, which can, as this advert says, even clean your skin from black to white, which is one way that racial ideas are included within the very material fabric of the empire. Even your household products use the ideas of superiority, race superiority in them. We didn't look at source B, however. So what I'd like you to do on your Microsoft Word document is answer these 4 questions. Okay, we've got a plate here, which you can see was made for the Jubilee. It shows us a map of the whole world, and the pink parts of the map are the British Empire. 4 of the main areas, Australia, Cape Colony, India, and Canada, are shown on the plate. The population of the empire is on the plate. It's just over 300 million. Total area, 900 million square miles, thereabouts. And it shows us the imports and exports. Again, the economic benefit of the empire is very much shown off on this plate. And on the plate itself, we can see Britannia. This is an allegorical figure who is used to represent Britain. She's even still on our 50p's, if you can find some of the older ones from about 10 years ago, and our 1p's and 2p's, etc. Britannia is surrounded by figures who represent the colonies. Okay, these figures here all represent the different colonies around the world that Britannia rules over. And the lion is a symbol of Britain, not just Africa. It is a symbol of Britain. So please, can you stop the video here, pause it, and answer those 4 questions on your Microsoft Word document. So I'd like you to answer this question, and in the exam it says, how useful is source A to a historian studying attitudes to British Empire in the late 19th century? But I want you to think of it like this to make it easier for you to answer. In what ways is source A useful to a historian studying attitudes? Well, it's useful because it shows us how accepted the idea of racial superiority was, and it was so widespread that it was even used in soap adverts. Okay, very everyday object. To help you write your answers, if you need it, I've given you some sentence starters. You can start off by saying the first way this source is useful is that it shows, and then just describe the source. Tell me the message. Tell me if it's accurate from your own knowledge. And then go a little bit further. Tell me how it's useful based on what this advert, this source is. So it's an advert, it's a cartoon, and it's created by a company to sell soap. Okay, and that tells us a bit more about why it's useful. Okay, so 10 minutes to do this one. 10 minutes. Stop the video here and answer that question. Okay, now you've done the source question, you should find it easy to do this significance question. Very straightforward. You need 2 separate paragraphs. I've given you sentence starters. One way in which imperial propaganda was important was. give an example, and explain. I've put some pointers on the right-hand side. One way that imperial propaganda is important is to create enthusiasm for empire, to influence public opinion, and to influence beliefs. For example, images of success, prosperity, and power that we've seen on the plate and in the advert give us all of those, evidence of all of these things. And they're important because it's easier to invade more countries if people support your ideas. It's easier to excuse your oppressive behavior in the colonies. And finally, the companies made more money, which made the empire wealthier. So this is another 8 marks, so 10 minutes maximum. Pause the video here and answer that, please. And finally, I'm going to take you back. Actually, I'm going to give you a choice. No, I'm not. If you have currently you should have spent about 30 to 35 minutes watching this video and doing your work. I'd like you to do these last 2 questions. If you haven't got time, skip this review question because we have done it before in your books, and go to this question. Okay, I'd like everybody to have this 16-mark question in their books. Were ideas such as imperialism and social Darwinism the main factor driving British involvement in Africa in the 19th century? The way to approach a big question like this, first of all, is to break it down. We need to think of main factors driving British involvement in Africa. One factor are the ideas, such as imperialism, social Darwinism. But also, there are events that drove British involvement, such as the things that Cecil Rhodes did, such as the things that other European countries did. And to help you a bit more, if you need it, think of factors which pushed the British to go into Africa, that forced them to go, such as European competition. And then think of factors which pulled the British, which attracted them into Africa, such as the resources that were there for the taking. And make a mind map of that, or a list. Do that before you start. It should take you a minute, maybe 2 minutes. Pause the video now and do that. And then when you're writing your answer, I'm giving you tips for each paragraph, because this is a big question and I want you guys to have the most chance of getting it absolutely spot on. Paragraph 1, you should look at the ideas in the question. Okay, so the point is the main factor driving British involvement in Africa could have been ideas such as imperialism and social Darwinism, and explain. Give evidence about how they drove the British involvement, okay, and then explain why that shows that they drove British involvement, okay. If you want to, pause the video now and do your first paragraph. If not, I'll show you the other paragraphs. Once you've done paragraph 1, discussing the question, the points in the question, go to a different factor. Okay, another important reason would be European competition with other empires like the French and the Germans, or even America, and describe how that drives British involvement. And then for paragraph 3, do another one. Okay, remember this is 16 marks, so think about it as 4 marks per paragraph. Think of it like that. So we're looking at least 3 different factors, at least 3. And then finally, in your 4th paragraph, a conclusion. So far, you should have just discussed the things which could have driven British involvement, but your conclusion is where you say exactly what you think. And you say overall, ideas such as imperialism and social Darwinism, or one of the other factors, was the main one because, and then you say why the others weren't the main factor. Give yourself 20 minutes maximum to do this. Type it up in your Microsoft Word document, and that will be the end of the first lesson. Okay, boys? I hope that you have not had too many problems with this, and I'm looking forward to reading your answers. So do your best. Give me as much as you want to so that I can give you as much feedback as possible. Okay? And don't forget to click on the other link for your next lesson. Thank you very much.